Welcome back to the 2025 Golf 12 Hours and the second part of the race. It is a unique event in so many different ways, and one of those ways is the fact that there is a short break in between two parts of the race. The first part is 8 hours. If you didn't join us for that, you can catch it on catch up, watch it back, because there was drama aplenty. And we've now got the second part, which will find our winners for the 2025 race. The 14th edition here at Yas Marina Circuit, the 15th edition of the Golf 12 Hours, and of course we'll have the podiums for you at the end of the day in each of the categories, the overall category, the Pro-Am category and the Am category as well. All of that's coming up over the next 4 hours, so welcome along, settle in, because there will be drama aplenty, absolutely guaranteed. And Mark Werrell, our commentator, is here down on the grid with us. My goodness, we've even had drama when the cars come up to the grid.
Absolutely, yeah. One of the Pro-Am class cars, the number 44 car, which is the Gaia Velmont Racing Mercedes, coming onto the grid. Some sort of problem with the front right-hand corner of the car. Looked like either a brake had stuck on the outlap or something like that. You can still see smoke disappearing up into the air from the car now, even though it's been on the grid for nearly 5 minutes. So drama before we even get the race underway.
We'll go over to that car in just a couple of moments to see what's happening, but you can see there's quite a bit of activity around it. As far as the first half of the race is concerned, that saw multiple dramas from the very word go, and also multiple race leaders.
Yeah, we had, I think it was 18 race leaders throughout the course of the first 8 hours. We're not quite probably going to get to the total of 34, which is the most lead changes we've ever had in a Golf 12 hour. But multiple lead changes, dramas for some cars. It means that whilst 20 cars started the first part of the race, we are going to be 4 cars down on that, so 16 cars will join this one. We've lost Herbert Motorsport and their Porsche with engine woes. We've lost a couple of Mercedes with problems with accident damage. And then, of course, we lost the pole-sitting Ferrari when that tangled with a back marker. So, sadly, those are 4 cars we won't see for part 2.
Yeah, big disappointment. It was the Ferrari, the number 70 Ferrari, that tangled with the back marker. Early damage for the number 16 Mercedes, and that was a shame because one of our star drivers was in that car.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Mauro Engel, who, you know, Mercedes factory driver. There's not a lot Mauro hasn't won over the years. You can put him in any car and he's quick, but put him in a Mercedes and he's absolutely at home. And he didn't even get the chance to drive. I think the car had only done, 20 laps before an accident all of its own accord, coming out of turn number 5, too early on the throttle. It spat the car from the right-hand side of the road, heavily into the barriers on the left-hand side, and they were done for the day.
But let's talk about some of our other star drivers. By the way, Mauro Engel was still here when we went into the break. I saw him walking around, so it might just be that we'll bump into him before the end of the race, because that'll be disappointment. But, you know, he's used to disappointments in motorsport. It's a regular thing. Let's talk about some of our other star drivers. And I think if your name is Ben, you're doing pretty well today.
Ben Tuck was absolutely superb. Ben Barnicoat was absolutely superb. So the two Bens, yeah, going really, really well. And of course, for Ben Tuck, the stint that he put in meant that car was still leading at the end of the 8 hours. So it will be that Ferrari that started on the outside of the front row for part 1 that will start on pole for part 2.
Right, the grid is lined up. It's a bit busier as far as personnel are concerned. The only person that we're missing, and it happened last year, didn't it? Didn't we have Father Christmas turn up?
There was one of the teams, I don't know who it was. I reminded you about this earlier on.
You did, I'd forgot.
I said, where's the Christmas buggy? Because one of the teams, you know, the little truck that they use that carries all the tyres and everything was all decked up as a Christmas truck last year, and even Father Christmas was driving it.
It was absolutely superb, and one of the teams that maybe isn't with us this weekend, because we're going to see a new team on the top step of the podium this weekend for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, all of the former winners of the Golf 12 Hours have not entered for this weekend. So the likes of Kessel Racing and AF Corsa, who have both got 4 wins apiece, are not here. And all the other teams are absent as well. So we are definitely going to see a new winning team. I doubt we'll see a new winning manufacturer because the Porsche is in a position to do so. So is it going to be a Ferrari that will win? If it is, they will add another one to the tally. They've already got 8 wins here, but it would be a first win for a 296, or might we see another Mercedes or even maybe a McLaren pick up the win?
Ferrari are going rather well. They got pole position. They started on pole position today. They start on pole position for the second part of the race as well. We talk about the magic of Yas Marina. There are so many magical things. It was just over 1 week ago, 7 days ago, that Lando Norris was crowned for the first time a Formula One world champion. And it is a magical event. It was right here on the very tarmac on which we stand now. And I'm not sure if it's a new thing, but not only do we have the floodlights, but we also have these uplighters right the way through the grandstand, which are Yas Marina blue. They are just gorgeous, aren't they?
They are, yeah. They sort of downlight, don't they, onto the track and up into the roof of the grandstands that we've got, matching the blue perimeter painting of the circuit. And you're right, you know, this is a unique event. We keep alluding to it, but it is something very, very special. To be here just a week after Formula One, I actually had a sneaky sit on the sofa.
We noticed.
Yeah, in the podium room, so I could say I'd sat where Lando had sat after winning the Grand Prix here last year. And I think one of the drivers you spoke to earlier on said, you know, particularly for the bronze drivers, for the pros, they can come to many circuits and race around Formula One tracks, but for an AM driver, for a bronze-graded driver, this is a special place for them to be.
So it's a big thing. Also, quite interesting that Jules Gounon, who is one of the GT drivers at the very top of his game, he's a global superstar in a GT car. He still said that he was watching last week because he still follows the big boys as well.
Yeah, well, he is one of the big boys, isn't he? He's the big boy of GT racing. Is there a race that Jules Gounon has not won in GT racing?
I really don't think so, to be perfectly honest. Let's see if he's got enough to win this race. I think that might be a bit of a tough mountain to climb.
Yeah, I mean, he's partnered up with the Grove family, with Stephen and Brenton Grove again this year, and they went well last year. But as a driver threesome, I'm not sure they've got the outright pace compared to some of the others out there, but that didn't stop them trying desperately hard to try and keep that car on the lead lap. As it is going to be the first car that is a lap down on the restart of this race, because any laps that were completed in part 1 get carried over to part 2. So we'll see that Grove Racing Mercedes starting from 4th, but it's a lap adrift.
Right, now what's happening back here? We don't have smoke anymore, so that's a good sign, isn't it?
That's always a good sign, and that can stay that way for the rest of the race, because we do want to make sure that number 44 car goes well in Pro-Am at this stage.
Let's get you off to the commentary box. Mark, thank you very much indeed for joining us down here on the grid. This is really good news, Mark. As you make your way off to the commentary box, apparently Father Christmas is making his way down the grid. So we are not disappointed about this. This is very, very good news indeed. I wonder how close Father Christmas is to us here on the grid, if he's making his way through the very, very busy grid full of VIPs and guests and personnel. We've just had, as we say, the 2-hour break, which enabled a pit lane walkabout to take place, and lots of fans were getting autographs and photographs, and down in the Yas Marina pit lane, it's quite an amazing opportunity to do. It's huge. I mean, it is incredibly wide, and I think some very, very happy young fans were getting photographs and autographs, and there's merchandise on sale as well. All of that happening here ahead of the 4-hour restart of the 2025 Golf 12 Hours. As Mark makes his way back to the commentary box, perhaps this is opportunity to say a very good evening for the first time this evening to Chris, who's already there in the commentary box.
To ruin the surprise, because when you mentioned that Father Christmas was not present, I did see him sneak up at the back of the grid, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to leave it as a surprise just for you. So now, of course, you can walk on over and say hello to him to yourself. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and more importantly, good evening from wherever you're watching in the world. Of course, it is now nighttime here at the Yas Marina circuit here in Abu Dhabi, just 30 minutes away from the capital itself, an hour and 20 minutes away from Dubai. It is a fantastic night of racing here, and it's been a fantastic 8 hours so far here of the Golf 12 Hour. And I've got to say, it's a very impressive event here as it is, and they've gone one step further because the atmosphere, the energy, the excitement from the crowd and the fans here who've poured in to the Yas Marina circuit is absolutely fantastic to see. So let's go back down to the grid with Alan Hyde.
Father Christmas did arrive, but he didn't stay here at the front of the grid for very long. In fact, he's already heading down towards turn 1 and into pit lane and the paddock. Right, it is busy. It's a really busy grid. I'm going to thread my way through. I can't promise that we're going to find drivers to have a chat to, but I'm going to do my absolute very best. Let me see if I can squeeze through past the pole sitter. We've had disappointments, of course, during the first 8 hours of the race, and one of those disappointments is very much the fact that one of our mainstays of the Golf 12 Hours, the Gosner family, unfortunately, they have retired from the AM category. I just saw father Thomas Gosner down here in his normal clothing, of course, but he has disappeared into the crowd. Right, let me see who else we have got. In fact, just let me have a chat to one of those Bens down here on the grid. You're smiling, Ben Barnicoat. You're smiling.
Yeah, because you gave me the commentator's curse earlier. It was all going well.
I'm really sorry about that. Yeah, I know. I wish I hadn't said it now.
Yeah, stuff happens.